Hello, my name is Deep, and this is Limbus Company. Now, for those of you who don't know, Limbus Company is a gacha game made by Project Moon. A gacha game is basically just a gambling game where you don't actually gamble with money, and instead with cute characters, or I don't know, depending on the game here, these can be kind of insane characters. Now, this is the main menu after coming into the game, and I want to show you this game because I actually love this. They have this amazing, I want to say, deadly world where you're sort of invested in this case our sinners from the train, and they are going to go through this city of just abominations, but it's super cool. Now, I've been playing this since the game came out, but I stopped playing for a long time, since season 2 basically. The game is now in season 6, Kanto 7? Don't quote me on that, I'll put like text up if it's wrong, but it's gotten a lot better since its release. The main combat hasn't changed much, and I still want to check that out as a sort of more detailed but still like faster version. And it's not super complicated, it's a bit complicated, but it's kind of cool. Now, I play this game mostly alongside other gacha games, and right now I feel like this is the one I play the most. One reason being is because it's the most free-to-play friendly one. Even if you're not going to pay for pulls or anything like that, you'll be able to get a lot of the characters, if not all of them, with, let me be honest here, a bit more grind. It's a bit grindier if you want to get all the characters, but that's fine, you know? Grind for money, for me, it's a good trade. Now, what we have here are sinners, are 12 different base people. Let me see if I can get all their base identities. Here they are. And each one of these has identities which they can then be switched around. This is Yi-sang. He is Moody Boy, who's also Korean if I remember correctly. I gotta get a bit more into the story for that. But he goes through these identities and he becomes stronger, let's say, in this case, because since we have a 1-star identity, we have 2 stars and we have 3 stars. Here, our first 3-star identity is better than our 1-star, right? That's a basic gacha mechanic there. And when switching IDs, they get new skills, which are these coins here. Sorry. They get a different level, so each one has to be leveled up differently. And they get an uptie. What is an uptie? So if I go here to DHE Association, he is at uptie 1. At uptie 1, he has no third skill, he has no passives, and he sucks. His skills aren't boosted because they gain small boosts when they get uptie. If I were to uptie him, this will cost Freds, and if I get him to uptie 3, I'll also get 40 gems. Wait, gems? But I thought you could grind this game, right? Huh? What's that? Well, gems are used in the extraction. So, as a gacha game, we still have pulls, right? Here, you don't have a base, let's say, pity. So, if I go to like Star Rail or Genshin, if I get to 80 pulls, I'm not getting a character guaranteed, a 3-star. What will happen, however, is, honestly, the chances seem a lot higher. I can compare these two during this video. I'm not going to quote them right now, but they seem a lot higher. I get a lot more 3-stars here than I get 5 stars anywhere else. And better is that if you get to a pull, let's say, in this case I can't show you because I'm out of gems, but if I get pulls, what happens is that I get a character's tokens. With 400 of these tokens, I can just get the character. I don't need to worry about that. Each, 1 star will give me 3, 2 stars will give me 15, and 3 stars will give me a certain amount, which I don't remember. I don't think I've gotten a single duplicate 3-star, although I know it. I believe it's possible. I won't say I know, but I believe it's possible. And using these, I can just get the character I want. So in this case, we have the dispenser here. This will carry all of the characters from the previous seasons up until the current season, which is season 6. And then I can unlock the character. So here is Ishmael. She is one of my favorites. I might get her soon. This one, of course, this identity. But I didn't get her when I was pulling for her. Sucks. So what I could do here is get her through the dispensary. But I don't have enough tokens, right? I only have 160 of 400, which is quite a lot. Well, we can use these boxes, which are here. I currently have 900 of them. These are ego shard crates. And I can pick a sinner from all the 12 sinners and get between 1 and 3 of these tokens for them. In this case, I'm actually going to go pull from her shard, but for Mersalt, not her shard. And so let me just get one. Okay, that's the worst option, honestly, but that's normal for me. It's fine. And yeah, I got an extra token. I open a few more of those, and I would get Mersalt. Like that. But how do I get those boxes? Well, for that, we can go to the missions. These missions are where you're going to be spending most of the time, right? We have the campaign, which I don't want to spoil right now because honestly, I advise you to play this game. I advise you to go through the story. And if you love story-based games, just dive deep into Project Moon, right? They're amazing. But we also have the EXP farming and the Fred farming, which is what we use to updye our identities. And the mirror dungeons, which are our weekly content, which you do, well, you have a bonus. So let's say every week you have these weekly bonuses. If you do them on normal, then you spend a single weekly bonus. If you do them on hard, which are difficulty to the mirror dungeon, then you spend all 3 and get an increased amount of resources. But by doing these, you're essentially completing missions for your battle pass. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. This is the battle pass. And this is why this game is so free to play friendly. Because the battle pass has a total of 120 levels. Completing a level on the mirror dungeon without a weekly bonus gives you 3 of these, 3 levels. And completing one on hard still gives you 3 bonuses, 3 levels. But with the bonuses, it gives you like a ton. Right? Like it's like 10 levels or 20 or something like that almost immediately. So you get them once per week. But I've done mostly just weekly bonuses and I'm at 221. And this pass gives you a ton of rewards. If you want to, it's not needed. You can get the bonus version for like 10 bucks. And it'll give you so many more rewards alongside these cool egos and banners, which the egos I'll showcase in a bit. And every level after 120 is going to give you one of those boxes, and if you bought it, an extra 2, so 3 boxes if you have the pass. Every weekly mirror dungeon gives you around 9 if you have the pass. And I can do one in like an hour, maybe longer, if I, well, take my time. Which is like kind of why it's so grindy, because if I just keep repeating these, then I will be able to grind any character I want, but it's going to take a while. Now, these do have this Infinity Mirror version here, which just takes it from 5 levels, which is default, to 10 levels. But honestly, those are really hard, and they don't really matter much. I do them mostly for the achievements, which are a separate thing. My max was 9, and then I messed up, so yeah, sucks. This one's gonna be switched out anyway, but you still have time to do it, you know. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I like it. You give bonuses to your characters, they become stronger. It's pretty cool. However, you can't just spam these, because they do cost these resources down here, which are the modules. These modules to do a weekly mirror dungeon is 5. And to get a module, you have to use the energy that you get on a day. And 20 energy is converted to a single module, basically. You can also use lunacy to get energy. And you can use these Enkefelin boxes, which you're obtained through passes and let's say like mail rewards and stuff like that, which will turn directly into energy. which you can then convert to modules. To do the main story, however, you will have to use energy. There's no modules there. Modules are just for like side content, let's say. You also have this seasonal content, which it doesn't reset seasonally, but it's there. And this is the line. Now, as you can see here, the Refraction Railway is currently on line 5. They're going to be bringing back the first line, but as permanent content, sorry about that. But essentially this is harder content which gives you very good rewards. So here I got 60 boxes, I got 3 multiples, and a guaranteed free star. Which is pretty good. But wait, how am I gonna do this content? Like, you haven't shown any part of the identities, right? You've shown how to get, you've shown where the content is, but how do I do this? Well, I think the best way right here is to do a level. To try and keep it as spoiler-free, I'm literally going to go into the first EXP level, which chances are, honestly, they're going to die immediately. They're at level 8. My character's at level 55, which is the current limit. And I'm going to show you how the combat works. Now, these are my identities. This is sort of my main team, but a big focus on this game and on getting better at its content is getting different identities and creating teams around those. Some identities are better than others, don't get me wrong. There are some identities which are semi-considered broken, but you can clear the content with all of them. There are some challenge YouTubers out there, like, not challenge YouTubers, but like Limbus YouTubers like Esgo, who've done very hard challenges with very bad identities. So, yeah. Here we have my bleed team, my rupture team, my burn teams. These are all, let's say, debuffs that they get. But for now, I'm going to use just a few here that I like. Sinclair, Yi Sang, Hong Lu. And since this is a 5-person fight, we'll take these guys. Here we have our 5 identities against 5 enemies. In this case, they're very weak because they're much lower level than me, but they're good enough for the example. In each combat, we have coins. And these coins are seen down here in this line. Here we have our identities. So this is Rodion. And Rodion has 3 skills, which can actually be seen here. But she currently only has access to 2 skills, which are her second skill, her first skill, and I believe that's her third skill up there. You can see this by clicking here. Each of these skills has an associated coin count. In this case, the first skill here has 2. Coin power, which is the +4 you can see there. And a base power, which is the 3 you see there. What this means is that when Rodion starts her fight with her skill 1 against this enemy, she's going to compare her 3 base power with 4 coin power against the enemy's 2 base power and 2 coin power. For this, they are going to be rolling their coins and seeing if it lands heads or tail. If it lands heads, then the coin is going to get its extra +4. If not, then it doesn't. And then they compare this power at the end when everything is summed up and see who has the highest amount. So, if I am going to fight this enemy now, that means they're going to fight their coins, essentially. They're going to compare their coins and see who wins. Now, the skill 1 is the worst skill here to use, so I would use the skill 2 in this case, which has a higher base amount and a higher coin power. But these coins are not 50-50. Each character has sanity associated to them, which they can gain or lose depending on a lot of conditions. The basic one, which is winning these fights. And this essentially is the percentage of those coins. So at 0, it's 50%. It either lands or it doesn't. But the max sanity you can have is 45. And at that, it's 95% chance of getting it or not. This is a very basic system. It can be a bit annoying. Let me be very clear here. Sometimes you can have a 95% chance and miss a coin toss. That's how it is. But it is super cool and it has a lot of interactions. Our method of combat right now is the most basic one, which is where you can't pick where your attacks go. You can only pick what attacks you're doing, and then they will do them, like such. However, the most normal combat is the pick. It's the boss combat, let's say like that. You get to pick where your attacks go, and you get to pick who attacks who. Here, another variable comes into play, which is the speed. Well, the speed comes into play here as well, but it's not as important. Don't mind Don Quixote. Those are the voice lines that they're kind of annoying sometimes, but they're there. Now, this is a bit harder to show, but essentially speed is a sort of base variable that your identities have, which they can play around. Now, this is going to be slight spoiler territory for a boss. In this case, it's going to be the Fairy Gentleman, and we are going to be fighting him with our Bleed team again. Now, this is not your lots of enemies encounter, basically. This is your boss encounter. And so here, I get to pick a single skill and where it'll go. You can see those numbers above the boss. Don Quixote, please. You can see those numbers above the boss, and those are its speed for each attack, each coin toss. These speed numbers here are comparable to my numbers of my identities, which are 6, 5, 4, 4, etc, etc. So let's say, in this case, since all my identities have a higher speed value than, well, at least most of the attacks, then they will always get to clash against that skill. But if they don't, let's say in this case, Hong Lu, he has a speed value of 3, then he can't clash against these skills. As you can see, he gets unopposed. This is because he's not opposing that attack. The boss is still going to do it against Yi Seng over there on the left. However, if I get Gregor here, he will oppose it. And the game will immediately tell you the chances. Oh yeah, this attack here is favored. So chances are he'll win. Not guaranteed, but chances are. Okay, so let's do a little quick combat here. Very simple. Those free skills are now blocked. But the first skill, as you can see from its description, is unclashable. These are a few debuffs that happen to skills like these. Honestly, most of the time, you're just going to be clicking this button here when rated. The game will tell you essentially what it thinks. This is not a smart button. It is not great, but it'll work most of the time. It's only in the real hard fights where you're going to have a problem. This game doesn't have auto. That's its auto, basically. So you're always going to have to be here. Trust me that in the tiny fights and the weak fights, you're not going to be thinking much. That's it. All the identities you see here, by the way, are from the previous season. So currently you can't get them, as the token part is, well, stopped for the previous season. It only comes back. So right now we're in season 6, so you can't get the identities from season 5. But you could get them from season 4, 3, 2, and in season 7 you can now get from season 5, basically, and not from season 6. It's very simple. I'm complicating it, but it's there. Another cool thing I want to show you before finishing this off is the Walpurgis Knot characters. Now these are special characters which are coming not too far away now. I think in about 28 they'll be coming. But you can find them here in the dispensary right at the end. These are the Walpurgis Night characters, Walpurgis Nacht, from Halloween, I guess. That's where the name comes from. And these are really cool. They come from other Project Moon titles. They're identities from other Project Moon titles. Library of Ruina, Lobotomy, or that's his name, right? And they're really cool. Like, you can only get these during the Walpurgis Knot, which comes for like 2 weeks or something of the sort. I'll have to make sure of that information. And if you're gonna start playing, honestly, start playing before Walpurgis Knot. See if you can get one of these. You'll have a ton of quests to do, a ton of main campaigns, and it's a good start. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to show you. I give my recommendation for this game like a ton. I know if you don't like gacha games, this is not going to be for you. Honestly, it's a gacha game at the end of the day. But if you're a big fan of the genre, if you're a big fan of Project Moon, or if you want to get into it, like, try it. You have other games for them you want to try out. Library Ruina has the same gameplay style, a bit different, but the idea is there. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.